become religious. No, your daughter has her own free will. Theologically, the school of Ahlul Bayt would always espouse the idea that you as a human being have been given free will. You can make your own decisions about religiosity. You want to become a believer, you can become a believer. You want to stay a disbeliever, you stay a disbeliever. As you know, within the school of Ahlul Bayt, we have the usul ad-din and the furu' ad-din. The usul are the pillars of the religion. The furu' are the roots of the religion. The furu' are salah, sawm, hajj, and so on. The usul, tawheed, adala, and nubuwah, and so on. Can I force my daughter to imitate in usul ad-din? No, I can't. My daughter has to reach her own conclusions when it comes to usul ad-din. Because when it comes to the pillars of the religion, I can't force my daughter to believe in tawheed. My daughter has her own rational thinking. She can use the traditional sources. She can use her mind, and she can come to a conclusion. For you to force your daughter to be religious, no, you can't. What you can do is you can tell her that Islam offers a holistic way of life. It provides you with solutions to the theological, to the ethical, to the jurisprudential. Your metaphysical, your cosmological, your ethical and psychological questions are answered by the religion. That you can advise her. But can you come and force your daughter to become religious? No, you can't. Rima is an example which we can use positively. In which way? That when someone comes to me and says to me that the only reason Muslim women are religious is because of their parents, I reply, Rima is a Muslim woman, isn't she? Yes, she is. Is she religious according to your stereotype? Well, no. She made her own decision that she wants to live this lifestyle. Likewise, our daughters can make their own decision how to live their life. I remember when Rasulullah came to Medina, you found that some of the children of the original pagans of Medina had become Christians and Jews. When these parents of these children came to become Muslims, they came to Rasulullah. They said to him, Ya Rasulullah, can we ask you a question? He said, go ahead. They said, Ya Rasulullah, when we were pagans, our children became Christians and Jews. Now that we've become Muslims, can we force our children to become Muslims? Rasulullah replied with the verse in the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, La ikraha fid din. There is no compulsion in religion. Your child has chosen a particular way. You can't force them. And the Quran would come forward and say, فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ. Whoever wants to believe, they can believe. Whoever wants to disbelieve, they can disbelieve. The Quran was coming forward. Why would the Quran say this? The Quran was coming forward to say this, that you as a human being, you can either believe or disbelieve. No one can come and force you. Because there was a period in Islam where people were saying, Allah is the one who makes you religious. You say, what do you mean? They said, Allah is the one who has written. If you are going to be someone religious, it was written. If you're not going to be religious, it was written. You say, what do you mean? They say, Allah knows everything. Therefore, Allah knew how I was going to come out. We reply by saying, then there's no need for a day of judgment. You say, what do you mean? There's no need for a day of judgment if you say Allah has written everything. What I mean by that is the day of judgment, I'm meant to be rewarded for the good that I've done, and I'm meant to be punished for the bad that I've done. If Allah made me do bad, then I'll turn around and say, why are you putting me in hell when you made me do bad? And if I'm going to heaven, I can turn around to him and say, you put me in heaven, but I didn't do anything good. The point was in Islam from the outset, every human being has been given their free will. You want to be religious, it's up to you. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا إن خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا إنا هديناه السبيل إما شاكرا وإما كفورا. Mankind, you can either be grateful or ungrateful. That's why some of the greatest personalities in this religion, if it was a case of forcing their woman to be religious, then their daughters or their wives would not have come out as bad as they did. I tell you, we had some great personalities in their religion, in this religion. But their wives, for example, were an absolute terror for them in their lives. Does that mean that they could force their wife to become religious? No. Nabi Nuh alayhi salam, when Allah says in the Quran, ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِمْرَأَةَ نُوحٍ. Prophet Nuh was a prophet or no? Of course he was. His wife came out as a believer or disbeliever? His wife was one of his biggest enemies. For someone to come and tell me that we force in Islam Muslim women to become religious? No. This wife of a prophet, you can't get a higher position in society than the wife of a prophet. But this wife of Prophet Nuh, instead of helping him, was one of his enemies. She was amongst those who would plot against him. She was amongst those who would not want to join him. At the end, Allah said what? ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِمْرَأَةَ نُوحٍ. She's a woman, but Prophet of Allah can't force her. لَسْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِمُسَيْطِرٍ. You can't come and compel a woman to become religious. It's up to her. For goodness sake, Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, his wife poisoned him. Imam al-Hassan could have turned around and said, I forced my wife to be religious. No, everyone has their own free will. You want to follow the path which the religion gives, you can follow that path. You don't want to follow the path, you don't have to. When someone comes and says, Rima Faqih, a 24-year-old Muslim, and she does this, I replied, doesn't matter. Rima has her own decisions to make. There'll be a day when she's accountable. For you to come and be surprised? No, don't be surprised. Our religion says those who want to be religious, they've got the free will to be religious. Those who don't want to be religious, it's up to them. They can choose the way that they choose. Someone turned around and said, but this Rima Faqih, she doesn't wear hijab. That means she's not good. Does that mean that every girl who doesn't wear hijab isn't good in Islam? We reply by saying, no, not at all. If a woman doesn't wear hijab in Islam, it doesn't mean that woman is a bad human being. No. The problem sometimes has to be examined in a different way. What do I mean? I mean that in our communities today, we have become narrow-minded. The moment we see someone of our woman who doesn't wear the hijab, we turn around and say, look how bad a person they are. No, 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 you're using the wrong terminology. When you look at a person who's not wearing hijab, let's say Rima now, we accepted, she used her free will. Someone came and said she doesn't wear hijab, she's a bad person. No, that's not the right conclusion. When someone doesn't wear hijab, there could be a number of reasons. The first reason a woman may not wear hijab in Islam, maybe because of people like me and people like me in my job. What do I mean? I mean, sometimes it's not the woman that's bad, it's the preacher who's explaining in the wrong way. Because sometimes you've got people who sit on the minbar, all the women who don't wear hijab are going to hell. So who are you going to change talking like that to people? As in, when you talk like that, where are we? Are we sitting down in a place where you want to burn the human or you want to give mercy to the human? When you talk from the minbar of Al Muhammad and you sit down and you say, on the day of judgment your hair will be burning, and there'll be molten lead coming through your hair, and I don't know, God knows, coming out of where. When you speak like that, that woman in the 21st century is going to turn around to you and say, look, I don't mean to be rude to you, but could you explain it in a different way? As in, I as a human being don't like to be told that I will be hanging from my hair and I'll be burning in the bottom of hell. Someone says, but Sayyid Ammar, this is written in our ahadith. Of course, if it's written in our ahadith, then without a doubt, we respect what's in the ahadith. But I'm not talking about what's in the hadith. I'm talking about the way you approach the issue. You want to sit down like an evangelical preacher who wants to send the world to hell, nobody's going to come towards the religion. When you find the first reason why we have some people who don't wear hijab, who may end up one day adopting the Miss USA contest like this girl did, it could be because of years of majalis where she heard preachers, instead of talking about what's the positive way of wearing the hijab, all they ever did was concentrate on the negative. Do you know how many we lost in the generation aged 30 to 40? Do you know in my travels around the world how many in the generation aged 30 to 40 do not come to the mosques anymore? And do you know why they didn't come to the mosques anymore? Because for years they weren't listening to a minbar of mercy. They were listening to a minbar which just wanted to destroy the people who were listening. 30 to 40-year-olds who were put off religion because of the minbar. Instead of the minbar being a minbar of mercy,